Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below, the direct purchase and pricing question line from you to me and my crew with your questions about this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing a 1985 serial number Rolex Oyster Perpetual GMT-Master 16758 in yellow gold with root beer bezel and a brown bronze sunburst dial. This is a timepiece that represents the transitional phase of Rolex, that period when the company was making its transition from being a purveyor of premium-priced professional watches to a totem of status and a standard bearer for luxury. Now, the timepiece has a lot of transitional features that we'll talk about in a moment, but let's talk about the sizing. 40 millimeters by 11.9 millimeters thick, 47.5 millimeters from lug to lug, and if you include the solid end links to this Jubilee bracelet, then it's 50 millimeters across the wrist. 1985, well, things were a little bit different back then, and had Marty McFly followed through on his plan to bet using the Gray's Sports Almanac, he might have been able to afford one of these, and he would have used a strap tool to remove the bracelet or strap from his GMT-Master. That's right, back then, full gold GMTs still had perforated lugs, and that's what you see right here. Now let's throw it on the wrist. My 16 centimeter circumference wrist will accommodate this watch quite easily, as it features an easy fit and a pre-super case profile. Now you can see there's really no issue here. I would recommend wearing this watch even on the bracelet on a wrist as small as 13 centimeters circumference. There's plenty of clearance from side to side, even with the bracelet itself. And as you can see, even though it is a fully yellow gold bracelet Rolex, it doesn't quite seem as ostentatious as, say, the equivalent 6-digit GMT in yellow gold today. Now I'm going to mention that this watch is on its original factory Jubilee bracelet, which does have quite a good deal of stretch. You can see there is play here. It maintains its structural integrity, and it is suitable for safe and secure daily use. I just want to emphasize that if you're talking about bracelet stretch with a vintage Rolex, you need to be upfront when selling a vintage or pre-owned watch, where this is a particular interest of clients who search for these kind of watches. There is play, but the integrity is intact. The clasp is in good shape, but again, you could see the marks of age here as the 5-point Rolex coronet, not so much refinished as it's simply been smoothed down a little bit by continuous wear. This is the underside of the bracelet. However, then as now, the removable links on a Rolex bracelet are fixed with screws. So if you have your jeweler's screws, you can size this one precisely using the removable screw fixed links. Now, what sets this case apart, and this watch apart from a lot of the other transitional gold Rolex, heck, steel Rolex GMTs I've seen, is how intact the lugs are. They're all there to the point that you can even see some of the original factory beveling. All of the metal appears to be present as the lugs are full and even from side to side, with the character lines fully preserved and absolutely no protrusion of spring bar through the end of the lug. There's plenty of recess on both sides, and as you can see, the crown guards are entirely intact. Rolex twin lock crown on this one, rated 100 meters in its day, can still be swimmable with a water test. Now the timepiece, of course, a GMT-Master, not a Master 2. So what you get with the GMT-Master in this transitional reference is a few upgrades that wouldn't have been present on, say, a 1675. So you have a Sapphire Crystal here, you have a quick set, which wouldn't have been present on the 1675, but you also have a high beat movement, 28,800 vibrations per hour. So let's talk a little bit about the underlying mechanics and the underlying mechanism. This is a 3075 movement. This is a transitional Rolex caliber to go with the transitional Rolex watch. Automatic winding, 42 to 45 hour power reserve, 28,800 vibrations per hour. It is free sprung with an overcoil hairspring made by hand, adjusted in 5 positions manually to earn a COSC chronometer certification. It features the quick set, it features the stop seconds, and of course it is COSC certified. What it does not feature is the later full balance bridge, the 31 jewels of the later caliber 3185 and 3175 that would succeed this movement. Of course, it also has fewer jewels than the later calibers, as this one features 27 jewels to the later 31. So it features a different balance architecture, fewer jewels, a slightly different train wheel profile, and the barrel turns at a different rate. But functionally, it is indistinguishable from, for example, a 16700. It's basically identical in that it's the original GMT-Master with one hand moving in 12-hour circuits and the other hand moving in a 24-hour circuit. So you can't set them separately on the original GMT-Master. We have a lot of clients who buy the original and they're like, why can't I set the separate time zone? Because it doesn't work that way. The idea is that you set For example, that 24-hour hand to Greenwich Mean Time. Now, if you're looking at 1800 Greenwich Mean Time, let's say you have an airport that is 5 hours behind Greenwich or London. So you just make the adjustment of 5 hours, and you can see, for example, what time it would be there. And that's how you gauge the other time zones. You use the bezel and the GMT offset of your destination to find that second time zone on the bezel, not using the dial. So effectively, that 24-hour hand is going to be the day-night indicator for whatever time you have set for whatever time zone you are in. But I mentioned that this watch features a quirky distinction you won't find on a GMT Master 2, and that's because these were quick set dates, and on the Master 2 with the mobile hour hand, you don't get that. So that's a wonderful and curious little refinement to have, and it is fun to play with because it's so unusual to those of us who are familiar with modern day GMT Masters. I should also mention that this watch features a Rolex service replacement dial. So rose gold hands, rose gold indices, correct Rolex factory spec, but it is not tritium, it is super luminova. As a result, this is a visible watch at night. It is not a museum piece, it is not a time capsule watch. I wanted to emphasize that with the play in the bracelet and the luminova replacement dial, this is actually a beautifully preserved case and a daily driver as a total package. And of course, it features a sapphire crystal, which was another evolution during this period as the GMTs began to gather sapphires, first in the gold and later in the steel. So this is transitional 16758. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing and purchase details. The yellow gold GMT Master with super luminova service replacement dial and hands.